Good evening. Welcome to the Free Thought Forum. My name is George Zerba. This is my co-host.
Jason Fegely.
And first of all, we'd like to start off with our disclaimer, as we do every show, or we should do every show. Sometimes we forget. The opinions that you hear are of the speakers and of the callers and do not reflect anyone here at WRCT TV. So if we say anything you don't like, blame us. Don't blame them. Well, Jason, we had a busy Sunday, didn't we?
Yeah.
For atheists, getting up early in the morning is not something we do on Sundays. But
Yeah.
we did this Sunday because it was the 10th anniversary, of course, of September 11th and the great tragedy in New York and in Shanksville. And we had a program at the state capitol. And I don't know what you thought of it, but I thought it was very well run.
Yeah, it was very nice. I was very proud of how we pulled that off and the way everything worked out. All our speakers had really good messages.
Yeah. And I'd never been in a Capitol before. That's a beautiful building, isn't it?
Yeah, that was really nice.
That's back when I think we used to build kind of things like that, when the government could actually build stuff. Now we can't build anything.
Yeah.
We can't do anything because we're broke.
Yeah,
But
that building will be there another 300 years.
We hope so.
Yeah.
Yes. But the speakers you mentioned, we went at this from an atheist point of view. And now, of course, there were a lot of religious ceremonies and a lot of people praying about things. And we had a different perspective on it. As I think one of the things struck me is what Dave Silverman, the president of American Atheists, who was speaking, mentioned action. People took action.
Yeah.
On that, especially on the flight that went down in Shanksville, they didn't just pray and hope that something good happens. They went out and did it. And they went out and took action and brought that plane down. And who knows how many lives they saved. How many people would have died. We don't know where they were headed. I think one of the assumptions was they were headed to the White House. And how many people would have died in Washington if they hadn't done that? That's what it's all about, isn't it? Action, not praying, not waiting, hoping for things, but taking action.
Yeah.
It was. He gave a good speech. Of course, Dave always does. He's a great speaker.
Yeah, he was a very good speaker.
Yeah.
I liked Jason Torpy with the Military Association of
Atheists and Freethinkers.
Atheists and Freethinkers. Yeah, his speech. I really liked his speech a lot. His was more of a humanist point of view, more humanist themed type of thing, which he spoke a lot about. He was speaking kind of to atheists and agnostics and non-believers, saying that that we shouldn't, we need to remember that religious people are our family members. They are our neighbors, our co-workers, our friends and stuff. So let's try and keep that in mind, and try to remember to separate the ideologies from the people, so that you don't personalize things too much. Yeah. His was really good. And then we had several other speakers as well, though.
Yeah.
But I guess everybody else was from our group.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they read prepared statements.
Yeah.
As did Dave and Jason, but they had their own statements.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, of course, touching on that, and when he ended, he said, "Please don't applaud."
Yeah. Yeah.
This was a solemn occasion, and it was handled. It was handled well.
Yeah, it was a very good program.
When you think about now, of course, Dave Silverman is involved in the lawsuit over the cross that's up there, and I hear people thinking, "Oh, look at this! God made this cross out of this." But did he have to kill 3,000 people to make a cross?
Yeah.
I can make a cross. I don't have to kill anybody.
Yeah.
Why is he? Why do people think this is a wonderful thing that a cross came out of this? And of course, we know that because buildings have structures like that, those things will happen.
2 bars at right angles is not too shocking.
Yeah,
to
it's
find
not.
some rubble of anything.
It's not.
I'm sure in a car accident you'll find a cross made out of
something.
2 bar.
Yeah. Once again, but you got to kill people to get it. That seems to me
silver lining
a
in
bit
horrible
off-kilter.
tragedy.
Yeah, but people find things. People believe what they want to believe. I think.
We get a lot of now with Silverman, American Atheists, with their lawsuit, they receive a lot of criticism about it, and a lot of times people say things to us about, why do you care? Why does it bother you that these people want to put that there? Well, for particular reasons, but this specific instance, it's being funded by taxpayer dollars.
Yes.
I do not want to fund
Right.
mass delusion. You know, I don't want to fund people imaginary ideas about things that aren't realistic. But um, I think the other thing is though, if 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 we're being told, you know, well, why is this such a big deal to you? Well, why is it such a big deal to you if we don't want that? Then? You know, if it's not such a big deal, then simply take it down.
Yeah.
You know, simply stop forcing it on everybody that walks by. You know, it's what you know. It's not. It shouldn't be a big deal.
Also, people are upset. Dave was on, if you saw him on the Huckabee show on Fox on Saturday
I
night.
missed that.
Well, we don't normally watch Fox, but we did make an exception for this case. And he mentioned that if they were to put an atheist symbol, they were thinking of something like hands, two hands clasped, showing, you know, cooperation. And if they did that, why they would drop the suit. So now, why are people upset? Why wouldn't they have our symbol there, if or symbols of other religions? Um,
Yeah.
You know, we're a secular nation. We don't have a theocracy here. You know, we don't have a state religion. So, if you're going to put one up, put all of them up.
Yeah, and really, I mean, I wouldn't have such a problem with maybe just one memorial that had all of them. I mean, I would prefer. I mean, it would make the most sense for none to be there at
Yeah.
all. But really, I guess in the spirit of humanity, I mean, religion is something that we have created, and it is something that contributes to our culture and our society and everything. So it would make the most sense to have. If you're going to have one, you should have them
Yeah.
all, and it should be just inclusive. I mean,
Right.
because
Yeah.
like September 12th, and you know, in France, all over the world, that people were saying we're all Americans today.
Right.
You know, we were all suffering together through what happened. You know, and it didn't matter so much where you were from or how you were raised or what language you spoke. You know, it was a horrible, horrible situation that we all felt
Yeah.
just as much. And for us to try and for anybody to try and say, well, my religion gets to claim this
Right.
this
Yeah.
as hallowed ground. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a little unethical. I don't know. That's a little selfish for
But
anybody to do.
people are playing to, well, especially Republicans, the Republican right, the Christian right. They're mostly Republican, and they play to them.
Yeah, it's an election cycle, so
Yeah.
let's brand everything we possibly can.
Yeah. It's and you know, now we're on that subject. I read the local papers and a lot of letters to the editor in there, and a lot of them from people who claim to be Christians and right-wing Republicans. They're some of the most hate-filled letters you ever want to read.
Yeah.
They are just filled with hateful things, and you wonder what's. As a matter of fact, one of the letters drew a response from some people, and one of the responses this Sunday was, "You must have been filled with hatred when you wrote that letter," because some of they're just. I don't see this as consistent with Christian values.
No.
To print things that call people names because they're liberals, you know.
Well, that's one of the problems of religion and faith. I think that our movement has been trying to illustrate, you know, trying to explain that when people get angry, they tend to try and find ways to justify their anger or to make their anger feel righteous. Kurt Vonnegut has a quote that he said, "Where is evil? It's in the." It's I'm not going to get this right, but it's something like
Well, paraphrase.
evil is in the mind of the person who wants their anger and their hatred to be justified by God. They want their anger and their hatred to be ultimate and for God to hate right along with them at whatever it is that they hate. You know? So what happens in these situations? These people just happen to be Christian, or they just happen to be religious in whatever way, and they use that religion to make their feelings righteous, you know, instead of anything they should be ashamed of, or at all censor. You know, if they feel that their hatred is merited by an omnipotent being, then of course they're going to shout louder. You know, they're going to print it in as many newspapers as they can, and they're going to do things. I mean, that's how Osama bin Laden got these people, these 19 men, to do this. You know, this is what our movement is trying to explain. Religion gets used to put actions, to put people to action. That can be good, but it can be horrible. It can be absolutely horrible.
And yeah, as we saw on September 11th, and we've seen other cases, we're going back to the Crusades and other things like that. I mean, how do you defend that? And the people who think God is on their side, well, he seems to speak to different things to different people,
Wildly inconsistent.
Yes. I guess he's almost like a politician. He tells people what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Because one group reads the Bible and says, for instance, homosexuality is a sin. If a man sleeps with a man, he should be put to death. And another group reads that and says, no, they were referring to what went on in the temple, because I had this discussion with some gay people.
Yeah.
And another person said, no, they were referring to being paid for sex. And so they come up with all these different stories. Well, you think if he was God, if he really was omnipotent and really knew everything, he could communicate better than that.
Yeah.
He could make it clear that here's what I mean. I mean, when I drive down the road, I see a stop sign. It's not ambivalent. There's no two ways to interpret that.
Yeah.
It means stop.
I mean, how is it that he created this word, these books,
Right.
multiple different, the Quran, the Bible, several different versions of the Bible apparently, and then he created Shakespeare, who could say exactly what he wanted to say perfectly. Why didn't you just tell Shakespeare to say this stuff?
That would have. I asked that to someone who was a former Mormon once. We brought up this kind of subject about, why people interpret it. Which is it's very simple. The Mormons are right, and that's the way they all feel. We're right, they're wrong.
Yeah.
So it's how do you reconcile that? There's no compromise there.
No.
By the way, this is a call-in show. If anybody wants to call in and ask us why we're doing this, that's usually the question we get. Why are you folks on the air? Why do you do this? And, we'll explain. Or if you just want to talk to us or yell at us or complain about us, go ahead.
Yeah, join in the conversation.
Yeah, we'd be happy to have you. Now, we had some, Jason, you had some things you wanted to discuss about, I guess, the Release Time Bible program?
I was just handed this earlier, right before the show here. I guess there was a press release earlier, or yesterday, about, it's called the Release Time Bible Program. Joy L Ministries, it's spelled Joy, Joy, and then separate word E-L, and then Ministries. It's a nonprofit organization that is working with the public school system apparently now in multiple states and multiple different school districts around Pennsylvania, apparently, where parents of 3rd and 4th graders can register with this organization. Well, I guess apparently you'll have to check with this organization to see if they do it in your school district. And then if they do, there will be basically like a church nearby, near the school, that kids will be allowed 1 hour a week to go receive what they call, let's see here, Bible lessons, sing Christian songs, memorize scripture verses, and develop positive relationships. It says it provides moral, ethical, and character development in a Christian context. I'm not sure how you actually would become moral or ethical. I don't know. So they have that to work out. But 1 hour a week, you can sign up to have your 3rd or 4th grader. Now, see, they don't want to do this with high school kids because high school kids will ask too many questions, of course, and then, how can that be true when this verse contradicts that? So they have to do it with extremely young kids who are not intelligent enough to question the authority of.
Well, what's the quote there someone gave about?
I guess there's a Jesuit quote. I'm not sure the original source. It was, "Give me a man before age 7, and he will be mine for the rest of his life." Age 7 is
when you start to form.
Called the age of reason.
Yeah.
You start asking more questions
and can put things together, can reason things out more. Yeah.
Like there's a certain age where the human mind. I mean, we go through stages. We're not even done until we're like 19 or something like that. But I guess
some people much after that.
Yeah. Well, like anybody who's raised a kid knows. I mean, there's a certain age where they figure out how to lie. You know, and before that point, children just lying doesn't. I mean, they may say things incorrectly, but they don't purposely deceive.
And they're blunt too.
Yeah.
They will tell someone, hey, you're fat.
Yeah, they just,
you got to tell them. You shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know they're fat, but don't tell them that.
Yeah, there's these different milestones of cognitive development, and if you're going to really brainwash someone for their entire life, you got to get them before they're too old.
Well, I see we have a call coming in. Our call taker's gonna see if we have someone who does want to talk to us, or maybe they got the wrong number and trying to order a pizza.
Oh yeah.
We'll find out.
So
now,
there's that. I mean, this just came out yesterday, so we'll probably have something to. I was talking before the show. We could probably get with the Secular Student Alliance and see if there would be some way to offer maybe like a secular version of this. Maybe 1 hour a week offer a critical thinking class.
Yeah. Teach science.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the kids will already have science, but critical thought would be good.
Okay, we have someone ready to speak with us? Yes, caller.
Hello?
You're on.
Hello.
Hello.
You were talking about release time for the children?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know any more about that?
Yes, of course. Yes. I think we got a little delay in our talking.
Yes. 7-second delay.
In a lot of schools all over, it's a state. It is a state law, or that you are allowed to, or federal law, that children are allowed to learn about the Bible. And people that don't go to church, children that don't go to church, they go to this release time, or they learn Bible studies. They can go to camp. They learn rewards, and they go on. They just start at 3rd and 4th grade. They go on 5th, 6th grade, and when they get to high school children help the little children.
Wow.
Well, why is that something that public schools should be doing?
Public school isn't doing it. It isn't. Public school isn't doing it. It's your churches that are doing it.
No, but why are we taking kids out of school to do that? Why are we releasing them from school? That's something they should be doing at Sunday school or after school.
How many thousands of millions of children do not go to Sunday school at all?
Hopefully,
well, that's their choice.
Hopefully all of them.
Yeah,
I mean, that would probably be better. But
yeah, they should be in school learning the important things.
Oh, they go to school and learn the important things. You don't think learning the Bible is an important thing?
No, that's not important at all. Not to us, it isn't.
I mean, I think if you're going to teach for one, I don't think 3rd and 4th graders have the capacity to understand.
Oh, you'd be surprised what they understand. You'd be surprised what they understand and what they know. And when they come home from school, they know and they appreciate the people that are giving them the time to listen to them.
Well, I'm sure 3rd and 4th graders love to hear that they will be rewarded for good behavior, and that if they don't act good, they will be punished forever, for eternity.
Oh,
I'm sure that's effective. In fact, I know that's effective. Otherwise, there wouldn't be religion today, because it would have just gone away. People would have realized that it's not real, and they would just stop. Now, what I think is interesting is...
Are we talking to atheists here? Is that where we're talking?
Yes. Oh, yes, we're atheists, yes.
Oh, I see.
Now, I mean, would you be comfortable with a similar class, taking the same 3rd and 4th graders to temple so they could learn about the Torah and the Jewish religion?
I would not. I would not have an objection to someone's religion. Christians aren't against other people. They're just trying to have your children grow up to learn to be nice and cheerful kids that help each other instead of being bullies and things like that.
Yeah.
This hour that they're giving is they enjoy it and they learn from it, and their parents also appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they do. I mean, it is a volunteer program. It would only be parents that want their children to do this. Now, would you be fine with kids being taken out for an hour a week to go learn how to be good without being scared to be good? Like,
What? We don't scare any children.
well, that's
We
the
do
whole point
not
of
scare
hell.
children.
You do
We
tell
don't.
children about hell, correct?
No, we don't. We tell them if you ever read the Bible. You know how many thousands of years the Bible's been around and it's still the #1 seller. If
2.
you read the
Yeah,
Bible,
I
that's
do.
all we're giving them. We're giving them the Bible and the love of Jesus is what we're giving them.
Yeah, and if they don't act the way you want them to act, they will not receive this love of Jesus, though. That right? I guess we lost the call.
Well,
No,
it's still there.
that's not. The children are. Well, anyway, they're much better off for this hour than they are out on the streets learning nothing.
No, they wouldn't be.
They
this
would
is
be
off,
in school.
They would be in
That's
school
what they
learning
would be
science
doing.
and math.
Yeah.
Didn't you ever have study halls or anything at your
Oh, sure.
schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
And lunches, and well, they don't lose any of their schoolwork. If there's a test or anything like that, they take the test. They don't miss things.
Well, what I'm saying is, the children could learn what you're saying that this program offers. They could learn the same things more effectively and in a more thorough way if it were through secular methods rather than through the fear of hell or the reward of heaven. If you wanted kids to actually be good for the sake of being good, you wouldn't have to use Jesus or heaven or hell in order to get them to be good. And I would rather have a society full of people that want to be good for the sake of being good, rather than because they want to be good because there's a gun to their head, basically.
You know, you say that you don't teach them about hell, but I know as a child, I was raised Lutheran, and I was in a very heavily Catholic neighborhood. And I remember at that age, many Catholics telling us, you're going to hell because you're a Lutheran. So they heard about hell. Do you have your TV on, ma'am? Because I'm getting a little feedback.
It's too hard for me to. Yeah, I've got my TV. I'm sorry, I'm sitting down now, but it's a little hard. I'm not that well versed to be talking to atheists. One of the people that run this Blood and Joy L should be calling you.
Yeah, I guess you didn't get enough training. I guess you didn't get that 1 hour a week.
I am just what we call a listener. I listen to children as they'll tell me Bible verses, and they get points, and we teach them the songs, and
as long as they don't encounter atheists, they'll be good, is what you're saying.
I didn't say anything encountering. They don't even know what they're atheist.
Well, they should know that.
Because they are. Had they not been put into these programs, they would be atheists. That's just how
all babies are born atheists.
Yeah.
Because they don't know.
Which is what you're trying to avoid by having them go to this.
So that your little children should just grow up ignorant and not know anything.
Oh, no, they should know a lot of things. They should go to school and learn science and math and English, and they should learn all those things. You're not necessary to have religion to be a good person. I consider myself a good person, and I don't have religion in my life any longer.
Did you have children in school?
No, not anymore. Our daughter's 29 years old. She's out of school. She's in the working world.
And she's in the working world.
Yep.
And she's quite happy and peaceful.
Oh, yes.
Did she ever have the Lord?
Well, she had some religious training. We sent her to a school that was Episcopalian. They had a little religion training. And, she had us as parents saying that, well, we don't really believe this, but we want you to be exposed to it. And the funny thing is, I don't see many Christian parents exposing their children to atheism or any other religion. But we did expose our daughter to that, and she said, yes, she agreed with us that this doesn't make any sense when you read the Bible. And so.
Well, I guess I've got to have someone else talk to you other than me. As I say, I'm just a lady that listens.
Well, that's
and
good.
I volunteered my services to listen to these children, and they seem quite content to be there. And their parents, I went and saw them at Christmas time and met their parents, and they seem quite content because they say their children does not go to any other church, and at least they get a little bit. And I think they should be allowed to learn this as well as everything else. You don't think they have a right to learn everything?
Well, they have a right to learn everything, but why don't their parents take them to church? They should be doing that on Sunday or Saturday or Friday night, whatever their day of worship is.
That's true. That's true.
So if the parents, it sounds like the parents are deficient there. This is something that
I still think we should help. I'm gonna see if somebody else will give you a call.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking to me. Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, that's one point of view.
Yeah.
You know, we would call it brainwashing, third and fourth graders.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you could call all education technically would be brainwashing, but I mean, if you're going to be brainwashed, why not with facts?
Yeah.
It just comes down to if you want people to be good, do you want people that are only being good because they just don't want to be punished, or do you want people to be good because being good is what one ought to do?
Right.
You know, I mean, that's kind of the issue here. And the other thing is, I mean,
we have another call. Looks like we have another call coming in. Jim, we'll see if they've got the right number or the wrong number.
Yeah.
Well, but you know, when you look at the studies of like science around the world, I understand we're now like in 17th place in science education.
It might even be worse than that. I don't know.
Yeah, we were number one for many years. How do you explain that? Anything that takes away from science education and math education, to me, is detrimental to this country, because we're not going to compete at a global level with kids who aren't up to par on those subjects. It looks like we have another caller. Yep. Welcome, caller. Do you have a comment for us?
Hi.
Hi.
You may need to turn your TV
so I'd like
down.
for you to listen and don't say anything until you hear me out.
Okay.
And take your time, because a lot of times I know atheists don't talk about other atheists that changed to the religion back to where they were raised. I'll give you an example. When I was coming up, I was born in the 50s, 1950. I went to school, and there was prayer in the school, and at that time, there was times that people were leery about prayers in school, and then they passed some kind of bill back then, I forget the name of it, and it happened to be an atheist family, felt that they didn't want the children to be exposed to prayer in school. Now, it did pass for a long while. Before this happened, a lot of things, when kids were praying and pledging allegiance to the flag, and they were young, and I wanted to make sure you knew that there was an era where that you didn't hear anything about atheists. It was mostly people brought up, like you said, Christians that was like Catholic, Lutheran, all different types of religions. All we knew was a higher power at that time. Kids are born when they're born to know right from wrong, period. Before you're a Christian, you're a human being before you anything else, before a title is on you. Kids know when they do wrong. My mother always told me, you can tell when you do wrong. You can tell when you do right. So before you even become anything, you already know when you're right, you're wrong, when you do something wrong, when you hurt a fellow person. So what I'm saying to you is that a lot of times we all grow. And we grow, even though you're sitting there and the gentleman with the hands up on his face, I don't know your name, but you're growing and you're going to learn a lot. We don't stop at one point. This is for anyone. And this is what I know. I know of it because there's people that first word they holler if they're in the trouble or you see your life flashing in front of you. The first word, normal, comes out of your mouth. You don't holler what? You holler, there's a word. And you know it, you feel it, it just comes out of you. So no matter what nationality, what religion, I don't care if you're Indian, you lived on a reservation,
there always is something that is stronger than us. And it's within us at times to help other people.
Well, I can't say that I agree with all of that.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that I know there's some atheists that I know there's some atheists that changed. They found out, and I don't hear much atheists that actually states this. I don't know why they won't bring it up, because any religion normally would bring up what changes that people went. Just like you changed from where you were brought up in Lutheran.
Right.
Well, I still need to hear the parts that people, why do they change? Why do atheists change back? There's reasons for this. And you won't know until you hear or talk to an atheist that's been an atheist ever since they probably was younger than this gentleman that's sitting there with his hands. I know he wants to say something, but you'll learn
I'm waiting.
a lot more about things when you grow. I don't know how old you are, and I'm not saying that you don't know much now. I'm just saying you will grow more and more. You'll learn more. You're not at a stopping point.
I agree.
And this is what I'm saying. We don't know what we're going to do from one day to the next. And you know it as well as I know it.
Okay. Well, you said you were interested in, like, the reasons why a person changes from...
Well, what I'm saying, you don't hear much of it. That's what I'm saying to you. As you're talking about atheists, I don't hear you stating, why do some change? Why do you change when you become atheist? You don't hear why, the reasonings. There's no reasonings that you're saying.
Yeah, reason is an excellent topic to bring up.
Right, but what I'm saying, you're not hearing that from atheists. That's what I'm saying to you.
You'll hear quite a lot about reason from atheists. I can go on for the rest of the show if we want to talk about reason.
We've had shows where atheists have talked why they change.
But you're acknowledging that people change their beliefs for reasons. But
what I'm saying to you, I'm also saying, even though you're sitting there, you cannot predict what you're going to feel like in another 5 or 6. Like I said, I don't know how old you are.
Well, I don't see what my age would have to do with it.
It's a serious point. That's all I'm saying. I know anybody can agree to a certain extent that we don't know what we're going to be doing in another 5 or 6 years. We don't know how we're going to feel. You can't predict that.
Right. What's your point?
And that's what I'm saying. So my point is, I know that you know that I understand that what you're saying now, you're going to grow more, so you might not even become what you are now in the next 5 years.
Okay.
Well, yes, we don't know what we're going to be in 5 years, and I don't think you know either.
Right.
But you know, you did bring up something about why don't atheists talk about why people convert back to Christianity? Well, the Lutheran, as far as I know, the Lutheran Church has never talked about why I converted from Lutheranism to atheism. They don't talk. Why would they talk about that?
No, I'm saying you have not said why.
Why? Because
in other words,
why is it?
I want you to tell me why did you change? Even
I will
the young man that's next to you.
I will tell you why I changed.
When did you feel that you were in the wrong?
Me?
Well, I'll answer the question first. When I met someone back in high school.
Let's start with the guy with the brown. Well, you both got brown.
We both have brown eyes, yeah.
Okay, so what's your question? You want to know
why he became an atheist? Okay.
Yeah, when did you become one, and when did you feel though that was the right decision for you? And were you in religion, period, and did you believe in God?
I was never religious. I never believed in God.
And you didn't believe in God at all?
No, never.
Okay, but what made you feel that there was nobody? I mean, what type of family you had? Did you have closeness? Did you have morals, respect? Did you hug each other? Did you, what your mom and dad, were they close? Did you see them kiss? Did you see them hug? You know what I mean? Did you have where there was no attachment?
I think you're searching. Your approach here seems to be that there must be some explanation as to why.
Well, you're itching your neck, and usually I look at people the way they itch their neck and whatever. I think it's getting hot in your seat, And I just wanted to know what made you feel.
If you would like for me to answer your questions, you'll have to actually allow me to do that.
Okay, I sure will. But what was your family upbringing?
Why?
Well, that's a good question.
Why is that relevant?
In other words,
I mean,
you don't want to bring that up?
I will. I don't see why it's relevant.
Know.
It's just like you keep mentioning my age as if that's relevant. What is your reasoning here behind these questions?
I just wanted to know what, since you're a young person and you're growing and you're trying to learn a lot, you don't have all the answers, but I'm just letting you know. I want to find out that sometimes the person's upbringing is a lot that comes into play.
I was taught to.
Were you affectionate? Were you?
If you would like for me to answer your questions, you will have to actually allow me to do
Okay.
that. Okay. I was raised in a normal family. Yeah, we were loving. There was affection. You know, a normal family. Religion in my family just wasn't. It just wasn't really a main focus. I wouldn't say that the rest of my family are atheists. They just didn't really. I don't know. They were like most people. That they just didn't really care. I mean, not that they didn't care. It just wasn't something that was brought up. Now, me personally, growing up, I didn't think people in general were really that religious the way you hear on like certain movies or TV shows where they show some crazy preacher or some crazy church people. You know, I didn't think that was real until I got into like high school and I started to see that there really are people like that are, you know, the Jesus freaks. I didn't know that was real until I, you know, around my teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
But I never believed in those things. So growing up, I mean, I was the type of kid, I set traps to try and catch Santa Claus. Because I wanted to prove that I wanted to know if he was real or not. You know, my first word was why. You know, I was always asking questions and being critical of the world around me.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, religious people are taught to stop doing that.
No,
and to just
that's
accept.
why I'm calling in. They're not.
Okay.
That's why I'm calling in, because
right.
I was never taught that way, and we're very religious, and I was brought up.
Right. Well, see, now you were talking about reasons earlier. You kept saying, you know, there's a reason people deconvert or a reason people convert.
You're saying that
now,
Christians, you already put in the title, Christians believe in that.
I said religious
that
people, but
situation, what you're saying, that they believe in being taught.
I'm saying, okay, for me personally, I never discovered any reason to believe that there is a God. If there was a reason, if I ever encounter some reason to believe that, then of course my beliefs will have to change, and I will.
Well, this is all I'm saying. That's all I was trying to express, and a lot of people don't hear that because they're thinking when you are atheist that there's no room to grow anymore or learn more, or if they change, you don't hear it. That's
no, not at all.
We learn all the time.
Within our movement, I mean, critical thought, the idea that there are all these questions that we just don't have answers to. So there's so much that we don't know, and it's important in the free thought movement, in the atheist movement, and in all of that. The principle of learning and
keep probing.
Yeah. Keep trying to find out. Keep asking why. Keep search for these answers. You know, and test your answers. Make sure they are accurate. You know.
Yes.
And be open to new information.
I call him because not all Christians feel the way you're stating that there's a way that Christians feel, and that's not true because. I know my family was one of the examples where they actually never put judgment on any. I don't care if you're atheist, Jewish, Catholic, or whatever you believed in. There was always that room to not judge no one, and we shouldn't judge no one, and that's why I never say, and that's why we're calling in, we can't just keep saying, just like we can't keep saying atheist this.
Right.
We just cut this out where we got to stop saying this is what they all do, this is what this religious group do, this is what, you know, that's just like 9/11. We can't keep on blaming, well, it's all the Muslims.
Yeah.
When all Muslims don't have that faith of saying their God is saying to kill people.
Well,
Right.
what's
And that's what I'm
frustrating.
trying to explain, and that's
Right.
why I wanted to call you, is because we got to be careful how we say things.
Right.
Well, I have a question for you, ma'am.
Sure.
One of the questions that was put to me: where did God come from?
Say this again.
Where did God come from? People tell us that God, they say, where did the earth come from? God created it. God, there had to be a creator. Well, who created God? And that's one of the questions that was put to me. That's why I'm an atheist. So where did he come from?
Well, that's where the man that's not supposed to know, because of one of these. It's a mysterious way of miracles in the life of our history. It's mysterious. It's always going to be mysterious. Just like the hurricane. Where did that come from? Well, we're always going to say, well,
Yeah,
the weather,
well,
we got technology, and the technology is knowing just when the thunders are hit and everything, but...
Well, I think.
But see, that goes back to kind of what I was saying earlier, was we should continue to ask these questions.
You don't have any proof there is none. This is what I'm saying.
No.
If we don't have proof that there is a God, how do you have proof that there isn't?
I don't need to have
That's
proof.
what I'm
that there is.
saying.
I don't.
Where's your proof of saying
There's no proof.
isn't?
I never said I had proof.
No, we don't have proof.
No, I'm
we
saying
just don't believe there
where
is a God.
you're saying that.
I've never claimed to have any proof that there is no God.
Oh, you're saying that you never said it?
I absolutely did not say
Oh,
that.
well, I heard a couple of atheists before you on TV that stated that there is no God.
You could give me specific conceptions of God, and we could examine, the logic of that. There are certain gods that can't exist because they will violate certain necessary laws of logic. Like a square can't be a circle. So you can't say this square is a circle. That thing can't exist. It's impossible. So if there's a God with contradictory attributes, then that God cannot exist. And there are certain gods that happen to have contradictory attributes, and those gods can't exist. But let's say, there could be some God that I can't even, none of us have imagined. There could be a God that exists that we just haven't even, conceived of. That could be, but I don't have any reason to believe that such a thing exists yet. If there would be one, and it would present some evidence somewhere, in any way, that demonstrated its existence, I would believe it. But until then, I'm not going to.
What I'm saying, until then, you're not going to. But I'm saying, would you have the courage to come back on TV and state it? That if you felt and you felt it, and you
Absolutely.
would you have the courage to sit there like you're doing this now and say, you know what, I had a caller that called in, say 2 years ago, and guess what, I'm calling in. It actually now I see where people are trying to explain away what you don't see.
Yes, I absolutely would. I would absolutely do that. I would absolutely do what you're requesting. I would come on and I would try to explain to as many people as I could. Here's what the religious people mean. This is what they mean. When they say, okay, here's the evidence, here's the reason, and it would be the same as trying to explain to somebody that the moon really does exist.
Right.
And I would be like, look, here's the moon. It's incontrovertible evidence that the moon exists. The tides, the gravity, the light shining off that big circle in the sky at night, that's the moon. If you don't believe that exists, you're crazy or you're ignoring reality. That's what I would do if God was evident.
I think our hardest humanly part is actually feeling that we have to see things to actually believe it.
Not necessarily but just
I think
detect.
that's what's going on now. It's a lot of people actually felt though they have to see it.
Well, for me, most science, I keep cutting you off.
Yeah. Well, you say see it. We have to have some reason to believe it. We don't see any reason to believe there's a supreme being out there doing wonderful things. If you read the Bible and you hear Christians talk, especially Christians, there's a wonderful God who does wonderful things. And we see so many things that are not wonderful in the world. And, for instance, I hear people say, look at the beautiful mountains and the trees. And then, but those same mountains, same trees will have a hurricane or a flood come, and the trees will come tumbling down, the mountain will come down and wipe out a village. Well, that's kind of a negative thing.
Yeah, but I guess you never heard of people that was so very nasty, evil, very streetwise and whatever, and never knew nothing about God, period. They weren't atheists at all. They weren't even atheists. They just didn't care. It was like human life was nothing for them. And they actually felt something when they were either in serving time or on the street for years or whatever. Here they become ministering. What changed them to become good?
You're talking about people in prison?
It had nothing to do with actually, how can I say, religion, but if they became a person that helped others.
You mean street, because they end up in prison?
Well, I'm saying whatever situation, they were just nasty people.
Well, something changed them.
A person that just wasn't, rather cut you than to look at you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Evil people?
Yes, evil. So when that changes for them, they have a testimony that can let people know what happened, what really happened to them that actually changed.
Well, they changed. Something happened in them. It's all it's them. It's not a supreme being or some outside force.
It's a spirit that goes in you. You just don't.
No.
You just don't wake up in the morning and just say,
well, people change.
I'm going to go ahead and kill you because you're on TV. There's something that's movement that's in you. You know what I mean? It's something that is really full force. So if you believe in the devil, which I think most people do because there is a force.
No, we don't believe in the devil. We don't believe in any of the supernatural things. But people change. For something happens to them and they change.
Yeah, I think you do have to realize that it's not necessary that our beliefs be true for them to affect us.
Yeah.
Like if you believe that there's a diamond the size of a Volkswagen buried in your backyard, and that if you're good for all of your life, that one day you'll be able to have that diamond and give it to your family, and that doesn't have to be true for it to affect your actions, for it to be a motivator. For you to adopt it as a motivation for you to do things. It's not necessary that it has to be true. Just like, look at all the crazy things Charles Manson believes. He thinks some pretty crazy things about God, and they're almost certainly untrue. But they don't have to be true for them to be the reasons.
No, he used the name, and that's why I said a lot of people use the name.
Right, but how do we determine who's accurate? How do we determine that Charles Manson is the crazy one and not Jerry Falwell? How do we do that? The only way to do that is to verify their claims. Is what they claim.
Well, you can see it. It's not just a claim. You can tell evildoers. You can tell people that do wrong. You can just tell their actions.
Not necessarily. A lot of people for many years didn't know that Bernie Madoff was very evil.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And look what he did.
He got away with a lot, didn't he? And there's a lot of con men out there who convince people that they're good people and invest money with me. And you know what? A lot of those people are church people. A lot of churches get, as a matter of fact, the local churches a few years ago lost something.
And I wanted to tell you, too, all children are not brainwashable. There is kids that brainwash their parents. They know how to manipulate.
Yeah.
They know how to pull strings. So I just wanted to let you know, these kids that are growing up ain't like when we were growing up. They know, they ask a lot of questions. They could be 2 and 3 years old. Believe me, they can smell some things that are not right. And they'll laugh and act like they're dumb, but they want you to think they're dumb. So I just wanted to let you know, be aware of a lot of children that are not stupid. The brainwashing a lot of times come from parents thinking that their kids don't do anything that's wrong, and the kids got them believing that. So it's not one-sided. Believe me, these young kids do know a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of
I
kids
just
do.
wanted to let you know the brainwashing always come at 2 and 3. There's 2 and 3 up there brainwashing mommy and daddy. They already know what cereal they want, and they don't care if they are paying for it or what.
Well, yeah, the kids detect that.
So you know what I'm talking about. So we just want to change that part about kids are easy to be brainwashed. That's not true anymore.
Well, everybody's easy to be brainwashed if they don't ask the right questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to keep asking questions.
Well, thank you for letting me share my comments, and also let you know that my prayers are still with you anyway. And one day I'll see you again. I know it, and I'm usually not too far wrong on that. I like to prove my point. So definitely hope to see you again on another.
We'll be on in 2 weeks.
Yep, and take care.
Okay. Thanks
All
for
right.
watching. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, have a good evening.
Definitely. We can learn from each other a lot.
We hope
That's
so.
right, yeah.
Okay, so
Thank
I just
you.
wanted to bring that note out that we all change, and sometimes we don't know when or why or how, but it happens.
Yep, we don't know when it's going to happen, but sometimes it happens.
Yep. So I heard you say now, if it happens to you,
Yep.
you will come back on.
I will
I
too.
definitely will, yes.
We
I
both
will.
will.
Both of you.
Yep.
I know that by you saying the truth because I believe in people telling the truth.
I would, if
So no matter what.
I would definitely do that because I would want to finally settle the question. You know, is there a God? Yes. Here's the evidence. Bam, bam, bam. And, you know, and I would I would do that. I would definitely do that.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we got to get going. We got to wrap up our show.
Yeah, sure. I took enough time, but it was a good one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We
Well,
enjoyed the
Yeah,
call.
but it was good because I like to hear what, you know, and even though I was going back in your past, I still like to know what makes a person, you know, why or how or if or when did it happen? Did you just woke up and you just said, you know, this is what I want to do, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Now, we have shows on pretty much every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. It's
Okay.
either one of us or the Atheist Perspective. So 6 o'clock on Tuesdays, first 4 Tuesdays of the month, tune in.
Okay.
Okay?
All righty.
Well, thank you.
All
Have a
right,
good
thanks.
night.
All right. I'll call you another time.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Well,
There's-
yeah.
Well, that
The,
was a good call.
Yeah, but many people question why you became an atheist, and a lot of people. Now, this lady was a little different. She didn't question what happened to you. Some people think there was one incident in
Yeah.
an atheist life that made you an atheist, and that's seldom the case. I don't know of anyone who's an atheist now who says there was one incident that happened. I got in a car accident or something. I fell down or something. And I became an atheist.
It's usually a mounting thing. It's, yeah. It tends to be from the atheists that I know that have had something like that. It was usually like a long time period of unanswered questions or just confusion with what they've been told, and then there was something one day that just did it. You know?
Yeah. Well, for me, it came rather quickly, but I was raised Lutheran, and I went to church a lot, but I wasn't terribly really religious. I thought more about football and basketball and baseball. That's
Yeah.
my thing, you know. And so then when someone raised that question to me, I thought, it all makes sense. That there's, where did God come from? There's no God, and all the bad things that happen in the world. I mean, they just didn't add up to me. So that's how I became an atheist. But we had, I did notice something in the paper. Actually, I was reading on the internet. In Phoenix, Arizona, the Goddess Temple. Turns out it's a brothel.
Cool.
Yeah. They made 20 arrests so far, and they have some more people they're going to arrest. There were male and female prostitutes. They did this under the pretense of being neo-tantric healing.
So these people were trying to use religion as a
yes.
way to.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
It gives religion a bad name, doesn't it? I'm sure.
It does, but religion kind of opened itself to that. Like you mentioned with the con men earlier, like if you have this thing that has been established within society as generally being good, then con men are going to know, well, let me just align myself with that. Politicians do it all the time, you know. Let me align myself with the thing that everybody thinks is good, and then everyone will trust me and think I'm good too.
Yeah.
You know? So these people are doing that with religion.
I was reading in my AARP, since I'm older than you, I get that magazine.
Yes, as the last caller seemed
pointed out,
obsessed with.
Yes, she really wanted to know about that. Several people that were conned out of money, and many of them met people at church. Well, I met him through my church, and he seemed like a good guy, and I trusted him with my money, and their money's gone. You know.
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, don't put all your money with one person. That's the
But those are sad stories.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and these people are out there, and they're going to need that Social Security that people like Rick Perry want to do away with. You know, I think it's a Ponzi scheme. So.
Yeah, but and there you have the perfect con, where this political party has convinced all these people that are on Medicare and on Medicaid and need
Yeah.
Social Security
Yeah.
to vote against their
Yes.
own best interest
Yes, yes.
to retain those
Yeah.
benefits that if
Yeah.
they don't have,
They're in trouble.
they're
Yeah.
completely screwed. So
Yeah.
these con men have convinced people to vote against their own best interests,
They've, well, from what I
by
understand,
aligning themselves with various things.
what I understand, since the inception of Social Security, the Republicans were against it, and it was actually finally Eisenhower finally said, "Well, it's here, and we're going to keep it." But there's still a lot of people who are dead set against it and want to eliminate it, and I don't think it's going to happen.
If there are good reasons, I mean, it's just like anything else for me. I mean, if there are good reasons to get rid of it,
Yeah.
I think healthcare and Medicare healthcare will always be too expensive.
Yes. Well,
that's just how it's always going to be. It's never going to be affordable.
That doesn't have to be, though, because look at some of the socialist countries that have socialized medicine. One thing they don't point out, every one of them, they have a longer life expectancy than we do, and they have a lower infant mortality rate, which is two very positive things.
Yeah, that's true.
So how bad
But
can
is
socialized medicine be? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's clearly good enough to
Yeah.
make them live longer and
Yeah,
have
yeah.
more babies.
Yeah.
But I think the price of it will always, especially now that we
Yeah.
keep making ourselves live longer.
Well, technology.
Yeah, I mean, we keep having better. You convince
Yeah.
people that it's
Yeah.
not God that cures your disease; it's actually medicine, and then they'll put
Yeah.
more money into medicine
Yeah.
instead of church.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we end up living longer,
And that's right. And
less people are going to heaven or hell
I
because of
believe-
that. But
when Social Security started, I think the average life expectancy was about 65 years.
yeah,
So they did
Yeah.
not expect that many people to be on Social Security. That's one of the problems. So
you got it.
That,
I guess we conned
yeah,
them.
yeah, we con them. We live longer now, but that's all because of medical science, right?
Yeah.
Medicine has improved. People living longer. I myself am a polio survivor.
Wow.
Years ago, I had polio in 1955, but many years before that, we had polio. It was pretty much a death sentence.
Yeah.
But a lot of us lived through it. Well, we're getting close to the end. We only got a couple minutes left here. One thing we should discuss is what we have coming up in the future for Pennsylvania Nonbelievers.
Yeah, if you're interested in any of our events in the central Pennsylvania area, not just York, but Harrisburg, Lancaster, we have a calendar of our events on our website. That's panonbelievers.org. And then we also have it on Facebook as well. On Facebook, it's Pennsylvania Nonbelievers. It's facebook.com/Pennsylvania Nonbelievers. Oh, we have it on the screen here.
Yeah.
And then we have a autumn equinox type of celebration at Knoebels.
Yes.
Which hopefully they're opening the park again this weekend after the horrible floods that we had. But they're planning on being ready for us on the 24th, I believe.
Saturday the 24th.
And then we have Pumpkin Fest in Enola
Yes.
on October 8th and 9th.
Yes, that's always a big. We always get a lot of people like to come up to our booth and discuss things, talk to an atheist. And our meetings, we have a meeting the first Saturday every month at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation on South George Street between 10 and 2 in the Carriage House. If you're an atheist and you want to meet fellow atheists, come on out. So
I think that's all I got.
that's enough. Yeah. We had some interesting calls. People.
Yeah, it was good.
People want to question us. There's a lot of people just doing it. Why are you an atheist? I can't believe it. I was raised this way, raised a Christian, and doesn't everybody believe that? Well, no, they don't.
And that's kind of how I said my story was.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think people really were, religious nuts. I didn't think that was real. I thought that was just TV.
Well, yeah, you found out it differently, didn't you?
Yeah,
there are plenty of people who are pretty serious about it. Well, we've only got a few seconds left, so thanks for tuning in, and see us again in 2 weeks. We'll see who's here.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching.